I think Keir Starmer is having an absolute meltdown about the Supreme Court ruling that came out last week, saying that a woman refers to biological sex in the Equality Act. He has absolutely no idea what to say and what to do about this because he is terrified about upsetting anyone. And we have now had nearly a week since that judgment, and he is dead silent. He hasn't said a word, but he cannot stay silent for much longer. He's gonna have to say something because the papers, the press, and various Labour campaign groups who are furious about the ruling, they are putting so much pressure on him to say something and speak up and tell us what he thinks and what he is going to do about this. So the front of the Daily Mail today has this huge headline right across the front page: Starmer must break his silence on trans judgment. And the pressure is piling in on Starmer because we've also got on the front of the Daily Telegraph, Number 10 have said, "We won't stop pro-trans plotters." What is this all about? We have got people within the Labour Party, MPs, we've also got grassroots movements and whatnot, trying to do whatever they can to essentially overhaul this ruling. They're probably not going to have any luck, but it is going to put Starmer in a very difficult position. We're going to go into the details of what this supposed plot really is, so stay with us. But let's just remind ourselves of Keir Starmer's, let's say, journey on this issue. He has loved going out and showing that he is pro-trans by going out to pride events. You can see him here with his mate Sadiq Khan and Angela Rayner having a great time. He said, you'll have seen a video maybe of me, if not, go on the Reason channel, of a compilation of the various times that he's been asked about what a woman is. He said that it was wrong to say that only a woman can have a cervix. Remember what happened to Rosie Duffield MP, you know, completely ostracized for believing in biological sex and thinking that a woman is a biological woman. The Labour Party, they, in their manifesto before last year's general election, they had a policy that they were going to make it even easier to get a gender recognition certificate. So you originally would need it to be signed off by multiple doctors, but they wanted to change it to just one doctor has to sign it off, and that there would be a cooling off period and this and that. So it seemed like the Labour Party wanted to make it easier for men in frocks to get into women's changing rooms. But then as it was getting closer to the general election, I think Keir Starmer realised that outside of his metropolitan elite bubble, your typical member of the public doesn't really share the same point of view. Yes, the trans rights activists may shout very loud, but they are not the majority of people. They are actually quite small. That being said, students and young people within the Labour Party, there are a significant number of them. They want their votes and they don't want to upset them. So we've seen Keir Starmer sort of backtrack before the general election when they decided to water down that policy on self-ID that I've just spoken about to quell fears of the Labour Party being too woke. But, you know, since then it's still been a very awkward issue for him. And if he comes out and makes a statement and says the Supreme Court ruling is fantastic, this is great for women's safety, the wolves will come for him. But similarly, if Keir Starmer, especially as a lawyer who's meant to respect the judiciary, comes out and says the Supreme Court decision is bogus, it's a load of rubbish, we need to find a way to overturn it, that is not gonna show him to be disrespectful to the judges and the Supreme Court, but it's also going to put off a heck of a lot of voters, and people are going to think, you know, this is a misogynist man who doesn't care about women and doesn't care about women's safety. So I don't know what he's going to do, but I imagine he is very stressed, and his silence at the moment is speaking volumes. We had this huge protest happen on Saturday in London. There were protests in other cities as well. The crowd, if you haven't seen the pictures and videos of how big the crowd was, this was big. There were a lot of people who think that this Supreme Court ruling is absolutely devastating for the trans community and that, you know, they're all going to die or something. Now let's take a look at the detail of this plot that is supposedly going on. So this is being reported in the Telegraph. We saw it on the front page, today's front page a moment ago, and they say Keir Starmer has refused to stop a plot by ministers to thwart last week's Supreme Court ruling that trans women are not legally women. Labour ministers and MPs will this week meet to discuss how to promote trans rights in the wake of the judgment. They are understood to be planning to take their demands to the Equalities Minister. The plot emerged in a leaked WhatsApp group of Labour MPs, including Chris Bryant and Angela Eagle. Both of them railed against the comments made by Baroness Faulkner, the equality watchdog chief, who said that the ruling meant trans women would be banned from women's single-sex spaces. They urged colleagues to meet them to discuss their concerns. However, so you can see there's quite a movement growing. They are desperate to do whatever they can to overturn this ruling, and this is very difficult for Keir Starmer. So we've heard Downing Street have refused to take any action against the two ministers. So he's not said that. We haven't had Downing Street say they agree with what the ministers are doing, but they're also not shutting them down. Why? Because if Keir Starmer said, no, you cannot start this campaign group, you cannot, hold these views against the judgment, that would reveal to the public what Keir Starmer's view on this is. And he doesn't want to give a view of either approving or disapproving of the judgment, because he's going to upset so many people either side he takes. But if this movement grows and there's huge pressure on him from this group put together by, it seems like Dame Angela Ingle and Sir Chris Bryant, he's going to have to reveal his cards at some point. I think that when the ruling came out, he was probably quite relieved and thought, this makes my life easier now, because there is an independent judge who has decided what a woman is. I don't have to if we enforce women's safety in single-sex spaces, I don't have to say this is my opinion. I can just say this is the Supreme Court's decision. Don't ask me what a woman is. Don't ask me to define it. The Supreme Court's decided. Not my problem, right? That would make it easier for him, because he can refer to something independent rather than his own political opinion. But it's not really been as smooth sailing as he might have thought it would be. Maybe he was expecting everyone to just accept the judgment, crack on and go, right, we know what a woman is now, single-sex spaces, sorry, trans women not allowed. But these loony lefties, they are fighting it to the death. Even though it is the highest court in the land has made their decision, okay, just get over it, guys. They are going to fight to the death. And you see at the bottom of this part of the article, it says, while the government has said it welcomed Wednesday's rulings, Keir Starmer has not made any statement, nor has he commented on Saturday's vandalism of the suffragist statue by trans activists during a mass rally. That's pretty shocking that he hasn't mentioned anything about this. He's scared to say anything now. Yvette Cooper, she has come out and condemned the vandalism. She hasn't condemned what they were protesting for, men in frocks to still be allowed in women's spaces, but she has condemned that vandalism. Let's take a look at this. I mean, it's just shocking. How disrespectful is that? Trans rights are human rights. Absolutely disgusting, Kafuti. Not even good handwriting. And then this one, they put fag rights on that suffragist statue. It's pretty shocking. They're so angry that they would cause damage to a statue like that. Pretty shocking. I think that the suffragists would be turning in their graves if they saw what is being done and what is happening with these protests today. And this is causing a lot of chaos about what they're going to do about trans in the Labour Party, because they had in their manifesto, as I said, they made certain commitments to protect the trans community. They may have watered them down. I can't remember all the exact wording of exactly what they promised, but they had made promises to promote protections for the trans community. So what they've got to decide what they're going to do about that now. Keir Starmer cannot stay silent forever. The Telegraph says his stance will raise fears that Labour may introduce extra safeguards for trans people that will circumvent the ruling, i.e. work around the law, which found that a woman was defined by biological sex. The Prime Minister has been accused of flip-flopping on trans rights, you don't say, saying previously that it was not right to say only a woman had a cervix, and that 99.9%, not 100%, of women did not have a penis. Critics accused him of cowardice by refusing to face down left-wing trans activists within his own party. This is the problem of having a party that is such a broad church, right? And you've not just got, random, independent people in the Labour Party just putting up tweets, angry tweets and whatnot. They are coming together and organising against this Supreme Court ruling. So Young Labour have put out an official statement, a joint statement with Labour students' representatives, and it says the Supreme Court's decision is hugely disappointing. No nuance there. Nothing to say, oh, it's good in some ways, it's bad in others, and we just need to make sure we do some extra stuff to protect trans people. No, they say point blank, it is hugely disappointing. They've been very clear what their point of view is here. As elected national and regional officers across Young Labour and Labour students, we share the deep concerns of our LGBTQ+ members, particularly our trans members, about the potential implications of this ruling. We will continue to fight against all attempts to strip trans people of their rights, and will use all levers within the Labour Party to make trans voices heard. Labour must protect the Equality Act, one of Labour's proudest pieces of legislation, and its legal protections for trans people. The Labour Party must stand firmly behind the LGBT+ community, in line with Labour's policy, unanimously approved by the Young Labour National Committee. God, there's no nuance at all in this place. We stand in absolute solidarity with the trans community across the UK to live their lives with dignity and be free from all discrimination. And that has been signed by a very, very long list of people. It does make me think how sorry I feel for the people working at universities who are now going to have to enforce the ruling of the Supreme Court. The abuse they are going to get from these vicious students. I do not miss university in the slightest, okay, because these young lefty student activists, they don't do any of their uni work. They don't have a 9-to-5 job to do. So literally all they do all day is just be vicious to people who disagree with them. They will go after the people, people in managerial roles and whatnot at universities who try to stop, enforce this policy of stopping trans women from going into women's spaces. And bear in mind, there are a lot more trans people at universities, percentage-wise, than there are amongst the general public, because they're all, in their crazy little woke bubble where they think you can be a cat, you can be a dolphin, you can be whatever you want at university. So this is going to have an impact, right? And those student activists, they will go after the people that enforce it like wolves. I feel so sorry for them. But yeah, this is really, really a difficult time for Keir Starmer, because he is, let's just look back at that headline one more time. Huge headline across the Daily Mail. I don't think this is going to go away. That judgment was nearly a week ago now, and this is still rumbling on. And I think this isn't going to go away. The pressure is only going to mount on him more and more to break his silence. I don't know what he is going to do. Anyway, I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you very much for watching this video. Subscribe to A Reasoned if you haven't already.